helicopters, but the tanks are just being cut down by that many helicopters, and my infantry don't even get a chance to fire back, so I immediately have to fall back. There's no point just standing there.
Battle control initialized.
Hello there, comrades and cannon fodder. It's Dvoid here. I've got a 1v1 multiplayer game, and we're on the ladder version of Timian for this one. I'm in blue in the top left. I'm using France for this game. My opponent's using Germany, and they're in a kind of green colour in the bottom right here. Sort of greenish colour. So I decided to use France for this game. I haven't played for a fair few days at this point, but I wanted to use France because I thought it was a good time to get a bit of practicing with them. So I've sent a rifleman straight out, and my engineer's the second unit trained. These rifles need to turn around, so I've got them in positions to escort my engineer. My opponent has done the same, but he sent an engineer straight for the oil derrick. He's got an escort. He's staying close by the looks of it. And I've placed these fake structures. So the only power plant I've got is this one. These 3 power plants that my opponent, if he approaches from this direction, or this one, my opponent's going to see at least 1 or 2 fake power plants before they get to the real one. And they'll also have to move past the refinery before they can get to the real one. So I should get some warning if they do try and attack early. Plus, they won't know which power plants are real. There you go, got a couple of scouts moving out. I'm moving in closer than my opponent because I know they're not going for the oil derrick. Although they have captured the first one, they've got their engineer here. And they haven't trained many rifles, that's why they're staying close to home base. I've got 18, they've got 2. So that's why they're holding back. And that's why I've got so close. And when I saw they weren't mining here at this point, now I'm not, but they've gone war factory first. That's why they haven't spread up this way. So I wasn't sure what I was seeing, to be fair. Yeah, my opponent's got a ranger, and they've put their engineer inside it, but I'm moving over here with my engineer and a few units. I'm just starting to train rocket soldiers. So yeah, you have to limit the amount of rifles you train when you go war factory first. And this is my scout force. You know, they've moved straight through the enemy base on attack move. I've lost that one. But this rifleman made it through. And my opponent is clearing away any scouts over here. And they're capturing the second oil derrick. They've got that one. Now, because I've got more real power plants, I've placed a couple more fake ones. So these are the 2 real power plants, these 2 here. And the other 4 are fake. And there's their engineers clearing away scouts. Look, they're going for that oil derrick. Now I'm going for this one. Let's see what my opponent can actually see at this point. Yeah, they've moved away. They haven't gone to capture that yet. They're obviously checking the area. So there you go. I should have moved sooner. There you go. Now my opponent has seen my light tank and my engineer, so immediately he's sent it. If I'd have been capturing a few seconds earlier, I'd have had this. But my opponent made it through, look. They lost the ranger, but they've taken out my engineer and saved their oil derrick from being captured. So that means they've got 3 and I've got 1. And they've also cleared a lot of my scouts away. I've got none over here. But I didn't want to destroy that. Then I realised they'd captured both of them and thought, well, that's not good. Yeah, see here, the way that a player sometimes leaves an engineer along the edge of the map, but at a fair distance from your units. That's why I've started sending these riflemen that are deployed here. I've been sending them up and down the sides of the map once or twice, just to search for engineers that are kept back. Now, I've got my light tank, and I realised I've run into a heavy force here. So I tried to fall back, but I lost it straight away. Light tanks leave a husk, look, so a mechanic could take that. And they've got a service depot as well. Let's just see. Yeah, they're not building a mechanic at the moment. And you just get an idea how long the husk lasts as well if we watch this. Unless it disappears because they don't have view range. No, this will give it view range, so it won't disappear. We'll see how long the husk itself lasts, though, because they burn and then eventually disappear. And if you want to destroy a husk, say one's blocking your war factory or blocking a refinery, you can force fire and destroy the husk more quickly. There you see, it's gone now. They have a certain time limit. But if, like I say, you've got something blocked by a husk and my opponent's got a flank force here, yeah, you see, I'm sending infantry to look for engineers while I'm capturing here, and I know the enemy are there because they've taken out some scouts. But at this point, they've cleared a few rifles away. I've placed that rifleman there, so they kind of slipped past. But this is the point I think I noticed them. There you go, look. I'm placing defences. So I know they're there, but my main force is actually in the wrong place. It's out of position, and I've got 14,000 army value, they've got 13. But you see my view range, look, I've got excellent warning, but a very small force to hold them off. So I'm literally falling back with a few units, placing defences, and they've decided to go for the service depot. That's a good choice, and they're attacking from this side at the same time. Now, I saw the construction yard under heavy damage, and I had my hands full, but I packed it up and tried to get away. It was too late. So I've decided to call these back, but still, look, they're not following the full order to come back. Now they are. And I've grouped my forces and defences together in between these two, look, as best I could, just to try and hold them up. And now I've lost my war factory, my construction yard, and my service depot. But I've got rid of this force, or it looks like it. I did actually start to target their rocket soldiers, but look, I've targeted that husk by accident, so it's shooting nothing. Yeah, I've lost a lot of assets there. Now I'm training units here to protect this. I'm expecting another attack. But there we go, I've taken out that force, and it's left me with 13,000 army value, my opponent with 12,000 army value, but I've just taken a heavy amount of damage. My engineer was going to follow that force when it was over here and do some captures, but he's been left behind. And my opponent is well and truly ready to protect their forward expansion from any counter-attack. And I can't build vehicles now. So I've got problems. We're both at 15,000 army value, but my opponent's got a helicopter now and artillery. That gives him a massive advantage because he's also got a defender's advantage. I've got no hope. I was just hoping that I've done more damage to his army, but I hadn't. No way. I hadn't done enough. He's got defences, equal army value, and more tech. He's firing before I've even attacked, so it prompted me to attack there. Look. And I quickly realised that, look, this is no good. And he's using his helicopters very well to trim away my units without my tanks being in the way. That was perfect. Perfect execution, and shows you how to destroy an army very effectively. Now, I've got this force defending here, and I've replaced my war factory, so now should be building light tanks, I think. Yeah, we are. I've got to get some vehicles to make my infantry effective. You just need a couple at least. So I'm sending my army this way, hoping that there's an expansion to hit here, hoping that he's out of position. Even my engineers moved away, look. But I'm moving this way, and my opponent's preparing for another attack. I've still got 2 ore trucks, so this base is it's valid. It's an active base still. But here we go. I'm under attack. But I can't just respond again and do the same thing, because my opponent will only get stronger because I'm not doing damage to them. So I decided to secure territory, move forward, and try and do some damage to them while they're out of position. I've only got 2 light tanks, look. Not good at all, and my opponent's helicopters are moving in. So I sold up a refinery because it's under bombardment. And my opponent's Still, that's buying time, you see, because they can't tell that they've destroyed that. They are moving in, so they're smart enough not to waste much time. But I'm hitting here, and I knew my tank was destroyed immediately, so I had to keep the only remaining light tank out of range of that turret. And then I saw artillery coming in and thought, well, this small unit of reinforcements can attack that. Or try to. My light tank's still alive, and I'm moving in, and look, they've defended that perfectly with very, very few assets. And they've, excuse me, they've taken control of my base there. They're idle. If I was this player and I was leaving that there, I would capture all that. You see, I've sold that now. I would capture as much as I could. But I've lost my attack force there. No hope. And I've got a 3,000, now 4,000 army value. My opponent's at 29,000 army value. And now they're attacking with this small force, but there's veterans and artillery and a tank. So that's good. I've replaced the minimal assets. I've got a war factory, service depot, and I'm moving forward with my MCV as backup. And I bumped into this force immediately, but the engineer, look, I need to keep him away. He's saved. Place that, and I lost the tank, look, but I've got the view range of the building still. I've got the artillery, and there's another tank joining the battle, so that's cool. The engineer, I want to try and make use of him. There you go. Got rid of them, and I didn't think of mechanics either to capture the husks. I just didn't think of it. And with this force here out of the battle and idle, that means, you know, I'm not as far behind as it looks. There's a good chunk of their army that's not doing anything, and they've got a small flank attack force here. Where's my engineer? Oh, he's managing to dodge the enemy, this engineer, and I've got a small force moving out, and more forces moving across here. Hopefully will reveal any approaching enemy units, and if not, they'll group together with these. There's my engineer. Look at that. Is that? Surely not. Look how lucky he's... Look at that. Surely he can't... Look. My word, that's my guy. I'm just trying to get some view range from him, but how can he get past all this? And there you see, I saw the base defence, cut that down, so my engineer's still. But I'm attacking here, and I brought my construction yard. Helicopters are hitting me, look. That's brutal. And there you go, losing a construction yard. My attack is being crushed. There you go, I lost the construction yard, so I've got this one that's already under attack, so my opponent knows where it is. And I've got my radar dome now. There, my opponent's got Tanya. That's bad. Now, is it Tanya that's going to get it? Damn, lost all my construction capability there from Tanya and helicopters. A quick, brutal strike using allied tech. But I did use my engineer to capture the service depot, and he's trying to get away, look. No, he can't get away, but at least I stole the service depot, so they can't build basic tanks now. Yeah, they're building artillery, but they're having to destroy it. And I've got this force, and I thought, I know he's strong here and here, so I'm going to try and sneak through the middle. Now, my opponent has got mobile radar jammers, so there you go, look, they're using the helicopters, but the tanks are just being cut down by that many helicopters. My infantry don't even get a chance to fire back, so I immediately have to fall back. There's no point just standing there. I've got artillery of my own now, so there's a small force here with a tank and an artillery piece. But I didn't build anti-aircraft guns, sadly. But I haven't got construction yard either, so it prevents me from being able to build vehicles to replace my losses. I'm at 6,500 army value, my opponent's at 40,000, but I'm attacking here because I've got a view range, look. So I've got a couple of nice hits there, but my artillery is just trying to leg it, and it's minimal amount of health left, but my opponent's reacted with these guys and has just overwhelmed my army. That shell missed, and then he got caught out. So a couple of good shots, that's it. And now I've got spies. And I've built a mobile construction yard, an MCV, mobile construction vehicle, and I've got 4 spies, and I've disguised one of them as the enemy units 2 of them. But yeah, only 1 there. I was struggling with these disguises. I've disguised them as my own men. There, my opponent's clearing away. They're all fake except that one. But here we go. The turret is opened fire on this guy, so he can't make it in. He's lost. So I knew this guy had to be careful.
Satellite
Now I've got
initialized.
this guy and this guy. My opponent's spread over half the map. The mobile radar jammer, any, excuse me, say I've got a unit of infantry here, any of them that would try and fire a missile at an enemy unit within this red circle, the missiles won't hit. Whether it's a missile from an Apache or from a mammoth tank or from a rocket soldier, your missiles won't hit. Look at the artillery, just slaughters my troops, caught me in the perfect position among that terrain. Now my own artillery is returning fire, but that's not good. There's my spies also responding. And look, my opponent's sat right next to... I'm sat right next to my opponent with an army, my construction yard. So I'm controlling my thieves and I'm sending this MCV with them, hoping to build a barracks next to the enemy base and try and do something. But yeah, this force that was idle for so long, I basically woke it up by shelling it with 2 artillery shells. Oh, you're getting your own units a bit there. And I knew I had to split up these units, and I knew they would also follow the ore trucks. So there you go, settle my construction yard. Still got stuff mining. 2,000 army value to me, 50,000 to my opponent. And there's my poor damaged construction yard. Lost my service depot again. Here's a small attack force. Let's just have a look at the economy. I've got a couple of grand, but my opponent's got very nearly 10 grand there. And 1 spy is moving towards their ore refinery, is disguised as the enemy now. So there's 4,800, I think. Now this spy's looking, hoping to find a refinery here, and I'm just having my buildings demolished while I'm at it. But there's another spy. And there you go, there's 2,900, so I am taking their cash away, but now I've lost the radar dome, I can't build any more spies. I've got 1, and I've told it to go into the enemy power plant, but nah. There you go, I've shut down their power, look. As long as this yellow bar is there, they're in low power. And it doesn't matter, all their structures all over the map. If you get a spy into one of their power plants, it shuts down their power map-wide. So there you go, they're still in low power, so their building is much slower. And then you could then put another spy in, and then say, have another one over here, and put them in there. Have rangers moving around to put spies in power plants in different places. Keep them in low power for as long as you can, sort of thing. And try and have it where they're in, by the end of the game, they've been in low power for a quarter of the game or more. And that could quite easily win you a game, doing that. So it's just getting used to using them and scouting where the enemy is vulnerable to an infiltration, because a spy can go into a power plant, shut down the power. It can go into a barracks and make your infantry veterans when you train them. A spy can go into a war factory, and when you train vehicles that yours are veterans, a spy can reset the timer on any building with a timer. So like this tech centre recharging its GPS, if I put a spy in that, it'll reset the timer. If your opponent builds a nuke and it's about to launch, send a ranger or a phase transport with a spy in and get the spy in that nuke silo and it will reset the timer. They're a really versatile, brilliant unit. You can get other effects as well. There are other things they do. Stealing money, of course, like thieves. You get half of the enemy's credits if you get it into a refinery. You know, they've got some interesting uses. And along with mechanics and Tanya and phase transports, you've just got some amazing tools that the Soviets don't have. But you do have to reach that high-tech level with allies to have all their tools and abilities, and it's not easy to use them. Right, here's the army graph. I'd kind of matched my opponent until about minute 8 by the looks of that, and then just got too strong. Earnings, yeah, my opponent was ahead for earnings all the way. I was struggling by the looks of that. And they've got a massive army, you know, massive. That's all that needs to be said about that. They've got 53,000 army value, credits worth of army. I lost 40 structures, my opponent lost 3. I killed 173 units, my opponent killed 370. I destroyed 39,000 credits worth of their assets. They destroyed 100,000 credits worth of my assets. And they've got the GPS satellite support power counting down. And they're building away still. Very nice. And they hung on to 2 oil derricks, that's sound. And they've got 7 ore trucks. I earned 112,000 credits. They earned 142,000 credits. So I did okay money-wise compared to the, you know, combat. You know, I've got 8 grand. With those 2 infiltrations probably helped. I've got more cash than my opponent remaining, which, you know, that's not great, but, you know, it's alright. Cash is good. I was at 36 actions per minute. My opponent was at 21 actions per minute, so a very relaxed play style. Very nice. And there's my score, 574. My opponent got 988. Well done. And there's all your stats and graphs and basics. I'm going to add a second replay to this post, and it's the rematch we had. So I'll go straight to that.
Terminated. Battle control initialized.
Right. Hello there, comrades and cannon fodder. We have got our second game here, and I decided, asked my opponent, because when they joined the same player, I said, hang on, we'll use the same map if that's okay, just so we're replicating the same conditions for the rematch. And my opponent, you know, agreed. They were more than happy to, so good on them. But for my second game, because I haven't played in ages, like I say, it's been several days, I thought I'll use Russia, my usual faction, and I'm competent on this map. Even if I haven't been playing for a fair few days, I'm still going to be good on it. So I've got my engineer moving out as normal. I'm going for my standard pattern. But like that previous replay, I did actually try and build a radar dome early in that game. But that attack changed those plans. So I went with a radar dome later on down here. But I'm trying to replicate the same build order with Russia. You know, so what I'm doing at the moment, my current build order that I'm testing is the same standard as always, and I go up to 7 barracks, and when I place my 4th refinery, which is the expansion refinery, say here or here, I then build a power plant and 3 barracks. That brings me up to 7 barracks. So your infantry are training at full speed. There's the first engagement. Once you've got 7 barracks, and then what I do is I add another power plant and then go straight to a radar dome. So that's what I'm trying out at the moment. So I need to basically get tech assets into action as early as possible. But when my opponent hit me and took out the war factory and service depot, that completely ruined those plans. There's no point building a radar dome at that point, you know. My opponent's got their engineer in the centre of their base again. And they've gone for the same setup as what they did. Look, I've got these rifles close. They're moving into their base. So I knew I was up against sort of basically the same routine. So I thought I had to try something different. I've left a few, I'm leaving a few units to hold this. You know, a ranger won't kill them. Especially with some view range bonus, or hopefully they won't. But now I'm training my rocket soldiers. And what I do is, when it gets to close to the 2-minute mark, I'll train 5 riflemen and 3 rockets in a row. I used to train a rocket soldier, rifle, rocket, rifle, alternate them. So I was still training rifles every now and then, but at this point what I do is 3 rocket soldiers straight away in a row, just so I've got those 3 minimal rockets as early as possible, and then get straight back to the rifles, and I build 5 rifles, 1 rocket soldier early on. And now and then, if it looks like you're light on rockets, hold the control key and click on a rocket soldier to add one to the build queue every now and then, just so you've got more than 1 to 5. 1 rocket to 5 rifles isn't really enough, it's just when you're hard up for cash early on, that's what I build. Well, I've got my APC, and my engineer's close with my units. Now my opponent's got that ranger again, there we go, look. and it's got away very nicely. And they've gone for War Factory first build again, and they've got a service depot early. Am I building mine now? Yes, I am. It's being built. So, my opponent's got an interesting build order. They've repaired that straight away. And I'm going for the capture look, trying to protect my engineer as best I can, and he's got it again. And missed those rockets, they just missed it. Because they're really mobile, and if the timing is right, when you fire your rockets and they're moving in the right direction or right speed, it'll miss. The rockets will miss. I've tried replicating it, but so far, like making rockets miss my units or something, but I haven't found a way of doing it where it's worth it. It's not worth doing that, getting a few rockets to miss one unit while you're fiddling about with it in the middle of engagement. It's not worth it as far as I know. But when you're using a ranger early on, they are handy because they can dodge rockets quite a lot of the time. As long as you're careful with them, you can keep them out of trouble. But I prefer APCs. They can take hits and then get away, you know. But I'm using rifle scouts, and I'm aware my opponent is going to be... It looks like they're doing the same thing. So I've got groups here, look, groups of units. I'm not leaving lone riflemen just to get picked off by rangers. I've actually got groups, look. I'm searching for where the enemy presence is, because I can't just let them do the same thing and gain a tech advantage and overwhelm me. Let's look at these early army values. 7,000 to me, 6,000 to my opponent. And my opponent's using England this time, by the way. I'm using Russia, my opponent's using England, and look, as I moved away, my opponent is actually engaging these riflemen, so I know he's got his range of messing about, but it's staying mobile. We're both at 8,000, I've just ticked to 9, now to 10. But my opponent's placed a refinery, very quickly moved forward, and now I should be building my 4th refinery. I'll just get on the production tab for this one. Yeah, I'm about to place it, and then it'll be power plant and barracks. But my opponent's ahead of me, is building his barracks, so he's only got 2. Very different build order to me. He's on his 3rd. I will have 4 at my home base, and then I should place a power plant and 3 barracks, giving me 7 early. So hopefully my army value should, you know, increase over my opponents. Now I'm at 13,000, they're at 12,000. And they're my rifle guards. And base defences are going off. They were slightly ahead in army value, now I am. But look, yeah, my flame towers are doing well. And I'm bringing back my whole army. I'm not losing things right now, but I'm sending the grenadier drop. It's an APC with 5 grenadiers in it, and I can see this one tank bothering my my ore truck here. So I've sent a small group to deal with it while my main force just hits back at the enemy. I'm at 16,000 army value, they're at 14, and look, this rifle scout is scouting for my grenadier drop, so I'm not wasting it. And I'm hitting here and I can see they've got nothing. I'm not aware of this yet, but like I'm thinking, right, it's going to get a proper like assault move where they destroy everything in their path. Structures, units, the lot. And I've got my hands full, obviously. My opponent has as well. He's got units idle. That's not good. And I've overwhelmed this force here. Don't stop, you'll get destroyed. And it has been. Unlucky. And I saw this trying to get away, so I've got my tanks and I'm ordering them to try and cut it off. And my grenadier drop's still there, look. And this army's still idle. We've both kind of got our hands full. You should have used that. It would have distracted me. It would have been an ideal distraction. Now, there you go. I've got my grenadier drop into action. And another army joining as reinforcements. There you go. See, I've noticed that I'm under fire. And I'm keeping my tanks up front, look. And there you go. I've ordered these on a shift queue to destroy that, but move away before they attack the next one, so they're not moving into view range of the defences. Move away and then attack this one, look, like a zigzag pattern. and I'm keeping my tanks up front. These two have been ordered for repairs, leaving one tank at the front line. It has to be kept alive, but there's another one joining. My opponent called it. There was a lot of pressure on them. I had V2s joining the front line, look, because I've got my radar dome and 7 barracks. Let's look at my power situation, because I had an extra power plant to the build order. Just before I build the radar dome, I build an extra power plant. So I've got nearly 500 and I need 430. Interesting. Wonder if it's because of any damage or anything. You could take depower your radar dome and it would give me an extra 40. So I would then have, what's that, 390 power demand? Yeah, I'd have a 390 power demand and I'd have a 499 power supply, which is good. And there you go, there was the rematch when I was using Russia, and we used the same map because, like I say, I made a point of doing that. But I'll go through the graphs and charts for you. And there's the army value, very interesting. At some points, just as the combat was starting over here, my opponent had slightly took over in army value, very slightly, and then when the combat kicked off, you know, they lost army value, but they were behind according to that graph. And there's earnings. Yeah, my earnings were sound. My opponents were perfectly good as well. And I've just started to build V2s, look, got some heavy tanks. My APC is okay. It took hits from a turret and a, what do you call it? Turret and a pillbox. But it looks like my grenadiers were all killed. And I think I wanted to use that to block the war factory as well. 14,000 army value for me. I lost 2 structures. My opponent lost 14. I killed 75 units. My opponent killed 83. I destroyed 26,000 credits worth of my opponent's assets. My opponent destroyed 14,000 credits worth of mine. Smaller game than the last one. No support powers in effect. It was a bit early, but I do have an airfield ready to place, which means I am just about to start counting down my support powers, basically now, which is before the 8.5 minutes mark. So it's a decent build. I've got 7 barracks, only 1 war factory and service depot, I'll admit, but it means it's important to protect them, which is why I've left the construction yard there. But I would normally have brought that forward with my forces, but I just kind of got ahead of myself a bit and was concentrating on getting tech into battle. But you should bring a con yard forward and place refineries here and stuff. But because I've got the 3 barracks protecting this and base defences, look. And plus, once you get an expansion set up here, you could then move this construction yard back between them to, say, like here or something. So both areas would have construction radius. And even here would have some, if you wanted. So you could set up expansions here, and then position your construction yard in the middle somewhere. That would be perfectly fine, that. But there you go, I would have had support powers counting down soon. And I've got 2 oil derricks, I hung on to these 2 main ones. And I've got 6 ore trucks, so I've taken some damage. And I earned 55,000 credits, my opponent earned 45,000 credits, but I've got 6 grand, my opponent's a bit more hard up for cash. And I was at 26 actions per minute, my opponent was at 39 actions per minute, so they were pressured more. That's like, I'm not sure, it might even be more than double their actions per minute for the last game. But there's our scores, 249 to me, 140 to my opponent. And there's all your stats and graphs. I did say rematch soon, so hopefully there'll be another game for you. But there's, you know, that was a couple of my games from today. So, and the first one was actually, that was my first game in ages, in several days. And the rematch came shortly after. That's why I said rematch soon this time, rather than straight away, because I'm not playing repeatedly all day. I'm relaxed, getting back into it at a relaxed pace, you know. But there's all the stats and graphs and everything for you. I hope you enjoyed those 2 games, and I certainly enjoyed getting back into it after several days break. It was good fun. So thank you very much. If you enjoyed it, give us a sub and a like, and thanks for joining me. Take good care of yourselves, and until next time, goodbye.
Battle control terminated.